All right. Hello, everyone. Excited to have everybody on today. Thank you for joining. My name is Will Hanke, and today we're going to be talking all about optimizing your Google business listing, your Google business profile, and some of the different steps involved in getting that done. So some of the things we're going to cover today is latest updates on the Google map listing, the 5 biggest things that could be preventing you from ranking the way you really want to, our proven model for ranking in what we call the 3-pack. Some people call it the snack pack. There's a lot of different names for it, but we'll talk about that. Some of the tools that you can use to automate some of the heavy lifting or the big chores and tasks involved in getting that done. We'll also talk about how to get some more authentic reviews. That's definitely a huge part of a Google business profile overall. So definitely want to know about that. Excuse me. A little bit about me real quick. I'm the author of 2 books. This one came out about 2.5 years ago now, called Your Internet Marketing Plan for Window Treatment Companies. And then we've also had a second book, which came out in October, called Triple Your Window Treatment and Awning, or Window Treatment and Awning Leads. So excited to have those books out there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I've been having, I've had a digital marketing firm for 24 years now, active member in the WCAA, the IFAI, and the CHDN, which is Custom Home Decor Network. So I speak at a lot of events around the country, and always excited to teach things related to digital marketing for window treatment and awning companies. I do have a column in the WF Vision magazine. And like I said, we work exclusively with window treatment and awning companies only across the US. We are Google partners. We are veteran-owned business, and excited to have you on today. So, by the way, this is one of 12 monthly workshops that we're doing this year. We do them every single month. And you can learn more about them. You can go check out all of our past trainings. WTMarketingPros.com/training will get you there. And we've got all kinds of trainings on all kinds of things out there related to growing your business, getting more leads, and just expanding your overall digital marketing reach. Go check that out. I do have some free stuff I want to give away at the end of today's thing. And I do want to make sure that you know this is hopefully an interactive event. If there are questions that you have along the way, feel free to unmute yourself and pipe up and say, hey, Will, I got a question about this. I'd love to answer those questions for you. If you're a little shy of that, you can also post in the chat function over in the Zoom area there. There's a button where you can actually chat. So I'll be watching that as well, and making sure that if anybody has any questions, I'll try to get everybody's questions answered today. Your Google profile really is just one piece of what we call the digital dominance method. So there is a lot of pieces involved in an overall digital marketing strategy. So not having all of the pieces in play can cause you only to get a small amount of leads. So this is just one piece. Then we have SEO, and we have paid ads, right? And we have social media, and there's all kinds of different pieces to this. So we're just going to be focusing on the one piece today, which is your Google business profile. Very important piece, by the way. So we call this a couple different things: Google Maps, the Google 3-pack, the Google Snack Pack. There's a lot of names for it. It used to be called Google Places, but it's all the same thing now. Today, it's called Google My Business. So does this system matter? I would definitely argue yes. It is probably more important today than ever before. We're seeing some of our clients that are getting 60% of their leads from this system. So more leads than they're getting from paid ads, from search engine optimization, from a lot of other things that are involved in this digital dominance method. This is huge, very important. 71% of the clicks go to these first 2 areas on Google, between the 3-pack of results, the map pack, and the first 1 to maybe 3 organic rankings. This is where most of your leads are going to come from for your business. So very important that you are listed in this area, because it's going to be a game changer for you. One really cool thing you could do is, as you start to optimize your listing, you can take over a lot of search results. So this is one of our clients, Sunshine Drapery. They're listed in the 3-pack. They're also listed in the organic rankings, or your search engine optimization type work here. And then their page is optimized in a way that they actually got a second listing as well, which is pretty awesome. So, I mean, just seeing this, they're taking up 3 of the 10 spots that are available, which is great. So they're, the chance of them getting more eyeballs on their business is huge. So it really can help your business grow. So yes, obviously it matters. It drives calls. You can't just rely on pay to play, pay per click, just running ads. Now, there are some businesses that's all they do, but they're missing a huge potential in the Google My Business area. Now, if we factor in mobile search with this, we're seeing around, on average, 60 to 70% of all searches are now done on mobile devices. So ignoring mobile in the first place, really bad idea. But on top of that, mobile users tend to make their decisions from that 3-pack of results. They tend not to go any further down the page. They're just looking for a quick answer, right? The Google Business makes it very easy. There's a button there to call. There's a button to visit the website. And now they've even got a button there where you can actually chat with a business live immediately, which is huge for any business. So you definitely don't want to ignore the mobile side of things. So let's talk about the biggest changes recently with Google Maps. They reduced it from 7 results down to 3, and they're always playing with this number, right? It's always changing. But now, instead of having 7 opportunities to be on a search page, there's only 3, right? So it's become more competitive, but getting in there is going to be huge for you. Google is also serving paid ads in these map results. So there's actually an opportunity for you to have a 4th listing in that, what we call the 3-pack. There's an opportunity for you to get a 4th listing in there with paid ads. So in theory, you could actually show up 2 times out of the 4 results in the map area. And we have clients that are doing that, and they're seeing great results from that. So that's very interesting that they're starting to show ads in that particular area as well. It's very critical that you complete the verification process. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then make sure that you have the ability to get reviews, and the reviews are now requiring real Google accounts. So that was the case years ago. Then Google decided you didn't have to have a Google account in order to leave a review. Then they backtracked on that idea. And now anybody who leaves a review for your business has to have a verified Google ID in order to leave a review on that system. So some big changes that they've made, but I think they were all really good. I did want to kind of focus on a couple things. I couldn't find an old screenshot of what Google used to look like for window treatment companies, but I found a plumbing one. So what used to be the case is we had a couple ads, then we had a couple, well, in this case, a lot of ads, a couple organic results maybe, and then what we called the 3-pack, or now, at the time it was the 7-pack. That is no longer the case. Now you're stuck with just, 3, a couple ads, and then the 3 results. Now, there are some things that are really important here that you need to know. When you are setting up your business name, make sure you're filling in your business name and not some other spam keywords. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but the impact on overall search results is huge. Now, again, I'm using a plumber example here because there's something called home service ads. And you may have seen these ads when you've done searches in your area for some home services. They have not rolled this out for the window treatment and awning industry yet, but I want you to be aware that it's coming. And these home service ads are pretty cool. They're right up here at the top. They show your reviews, and you can scroll across on this list and pick somebody out, engage with that business immediately. So that is not available to our industry yet, but it's coming. Next, obviously, is the ads or the paid ads, and then the Google My Business area. And then finally, the SEO. And if you're just doing SEO, look how far down the page you are. So it's very important that you're using the entire digital dominance method that we talk about in order to have more eyeballs on your business, of course, and more opportunity for those leads. So that's kind of crazy that how far down the SEO stuff is pushed. And it also speaks to the fact that mobile users are tending not to go that far. They're making their decisions from here, or if the home service ads show up on their mobile device, depending on the search, from that area as well. I should also mention here something called banner blindness. And we've seen this, 20 years ago when the internet was just kind of getting started. We always had these banners at the top of all these web pages. And after a while, what people found out is that people were just naturally skipping those banners and going straight to the meat of whatever that page was about. Google sees the same thing with the Google ads. A lot of people tend to just ignore this because they know it's the ad area. What they don't realize is that the map area can have an ad in it as well, potentially, but they're scrolling down past that ad area. So just having ads running and no other strategy, again, not the best idea. Now, I think I mentioned all of this. The organic listings tend to be pretty far down the page. And the other thing with the organic listings is you are sometimes competing with things like Angie's List, Yext, Yelp, different business directories, that kind of stuff as well. So this just showed up this week, and it's only showing up right now for plumbers and only in certain areas. But check this out. The 3-pack looks different. I had a friend that sent this over to me just this week. Typically, Google does these different tests, kind of test things out, sees how it looks. So instead of the map being above it with the three pins below it, they're putting the map to the right and then putting the 3 listings to the left. So it takes up a little bit less room, which does move, your organic listings up a little bit. But it'd be interesting to see if that rolls out or not. That's just something that we saw this week. Here's an example of how it looks now. You can see that the map and then the 3-pack below it. So we'll kind of see how that impacts in the coming weeks as well, if they even roll it out, right? Also, something that should be on your radar is fake Google business listings. Now, Google says that they've reduced these by 70% since 2015. And this is a cute little map there, or thing that shows you so. But I'm not 100% sure it's true. And this is an article I found dated June 20, 2019. And it's from Wall Street Journal. So, I mean, it's a legit publication, but there are still a lot of these fake accounts out there showing up. So, it's still something that's going on. And then we've got things like this, people that are putting in business listings that maybe aren't correct. This company was found, they're not really called Oceanside Movers. And additionally, they've added additional keywords here, what we call spam keywords, that they're not supposed to put here. You're only supposed to put your business name, right? So that's very important, that you only have your business name when you list your business. So a couple things here that could be hurting your overall rankings. I mentioned a couple of these in passing now, but you definitely need to have an office in the city that you're wanting to target, right? You have to have a physical location, unfortunately, or you have to have a physical location because they're going to send you a postcard to verify you're really in that area. You can set up a service area, like a circle around Seattle or something like that. But you have to have some location where they can mail something to you. Make sure you're not spamming fake locations. Some businesses try to put 2 or 3 locations with 2 or 3 different addresses when there's really no location there, no business at that location. Very important that you don't do that. Inconsistent name, address, and phone number in your profile. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We call it the NAP, or name, address, phone number. We'll talk about that. Spamming your city. So if your business is called, Bill's Window Treatments, you don't put in a business name that's Bill's Window Treatments in Seattle, or something like that. It might get you higher rankings in the map system, but it also might get you kicked out of the map system. So you definitely don't want to do that. And then we also should definitely mention reviews. Reviews are huge when it comes to this. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Reviews, obviously, one thing that are very difficult to get, right? So our proven formula to get into the 3-pack works like this. One thing you need is obviously to claim your business profile, to have what we call citations, getting those reviews, and then doing some on-page SEO related to your website, so that your website is sending back those positive signals and those signals that match up to your location as well. So let's dive into this. I've got a lot of stuff here, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on some of these. First of all, number one, claim and optimize your business listing. If you haven't claimed and optimized your listing, this is obviously the very first thing that you need to do. Let's see, Sari has a comment. My business is home-based, so I publish the address where my business storage unit is located. That's where I receive shipments. Will Google penalize me for that? So they might penalize you for that if they realize it's a storage center of some sort. Not a whole lot different than like a UPS store or a post office, PO box, things like that. It's possible that they could penalize you. What would be better is to put your home address in, and then there's a button where you can say, don't show my physical address, show a service area. So that's probably what you want to do, is change that to your home address since you're home based, and then set that up so that it just shows a service area. And that will you'll still get the postcard and everything will be fine. But that way, at some point, they don't realize it's a storage area. And the other thing is, one of your competitors could also flag that as incorrect and get you kicked out of Google as well. So definitely use the service area option. And typically there's something in the back end that says, do people come to this location? Yes or no. You would uncheck that box. Now for me, I've had my home, I work out of my home too. We've had this address on Google for 10 years now. And in all that time, I had one person show up and they became a client. So it worked out well. But don't be concerned about putting in a home address if you're home based and somebody showing up. Probably not going to happen. Phone number. Let's see, where are we? Update your company name to read company name. Yeah, don't add any extra keywords. Make sure your website address is in there, because in this example over here on the right, you see there is a button for website. People can actually go straight to your website from this listing. They can get directions, and then now there's an opportunity for people to chat with your business as well. Don't use 800 numbers. Do not use a PO box. Do not use UPS store, those kind of things. They are really sticklers on that. So make sure that's set. Debbie says, I've changed my business name and can't get Google to change the name. Okay, Debbie, reach out to me afterwards. I have something called a Google leader account on Google Maps, and it may just be that you need somebody with a higher level submitting that and getting that approved. So I'd be happy to help you with that. So just reach out to me afterwards, and maybe I can submit the correct one. And typically that generates it a lot faster. Let's see, maybe that says Tony. I think that's Tony. If I use a Google Voice number, yes, Google Voice is okay. Google Voice is a phone number that tends to forward to a different number. You can use that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the name, address, phone number in a minute. The thing here is to make sure that you always use the same phone number. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Google Voice is definitely an option. Oh, it's Oana. Okay. Hi, Oana. Thank you for jumping on. So we'll talk more about phone numbers in a minute, so I make sure I answer your question. Photos, very important to upload photos, things like that. So the first step here is to claim your listing. If you haven't done that, obviously the very first step, google.com/business, find your business, claim that business. They're most likely going to put a postcard in the mail. So they'll let you kind of start to optimize your listing, but they won't show it live until they send that postcard to you. The postcard will have some sort of a PIN, typically a 5-digit PIN number. Put that number in a week later or so when you get the postcard, and then your listing will go live. But there are a lot of businesses out there that haven't gone through this step to claim their listing. And it's very possible that you're getting reviews on a listing that hasn't even been claimed. So you definitely want to know what people are saying about your business. Oana said, hi, Will, great to be here as usual. Thank you. So awesome. Use your real company name. I've said this a couple of times now. This is a company, a search for a couple different companies, and I found F&R Interiors Custom Window Treatments. I clicked on this, went to their website. Their business name is F&R Interiors. So by putting in custom window treatments, you can see they showed up when that's what I searched for. Problem is, again, Google could temporarily suspend this. They could even, kick them out. So not worth going through that. For the potential downside of it is not great. So definitely make sure you're only putting in your real company name. Now, the other thing you'll come across is if you do a search for something like NYC window treatments, people are getting smart and they're making that the name of their business, right? So that when you search for it, that's what comes up because that's the name of the business, but that's fine. That is their real name. But if your name is something that has, like Jacoby Company, these guys don't have the word window treatments in there, so they've got to fight a little harder to get into this mix here. But they're doing so by getting more reviews, things like that. But don't add any extra words to that for sure. Now, once you've got your listing claimed, this is kind of a dashboard of what you'll see. And the first thing you'll want to do is head over to the info tab on the left. And this is going to be where you can edit a lot of the information related to your business, put in your address, add your service area, put in your hours, any special hours you might be closed. So like if you're closed for Labor Day coming up, you'll want to add that information that we're going to be closed on that Monday so that when somebody looks you up, it shows as being closed. Definitely worth getting in there, but go into that info tab and start to fill all that out. This is just a small screenshot of it. It's a fairly long page, but get some of that stuff set up. And then there's some other things you can do. You can see how it looks on search. You can see how it looks on maps, just to kind of give you some previews. So some best practices. Use call tracking. So call tracking is a great way to start to differentiate where your leads are actually coming from. Some leads are coming from GMB, some leads are coming from your website, some leads are coming from, if you're doing radio, TV, all these other things. So starting to put a specific phone number in a specific place, that number forwards to your regular line, but then you'll be able to document and track where those phone calls are coming from. So it's huge to have that information once you start to see it. And what we're starting to see is, as I mentioned, 60%, in some cases, 70% of our clients' leads are coming from Google My Business. These customers are not even visiting their website. So it's very important to have that set up. Update and geotag your photos. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Making sure that your photos are updated on a regular basis. Using the Google Posts option. And I've got here by posting at least once every 10 days. I mean, if you could do it every day, that's fantastic. We're busy running businesses and that might not be the case. But, try to at least do it 2-3 times a month is definitely going to help you. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute here as well. Make sure you respond to every review that comes in, even if it's just a thanks, something like that. And people can also now ask questions. So do you guys do draperies? Do you have a workroom? Do you build the awnings on site? Do you do repairs? All these different things that people might be asking. So let's go over to the chat and make sure I'm not missing anybody. Jill said, we're located about 15 miles outside of our main service area. We've thought about sending a postcard to different address within the city limits, but it sounds like that's not a good idea. Do we have any hope to show up in the maps for that area? We've added a service area, but still don't show up. Yep, so you're doing it right. Really, the best thing to do is to have a service area, obviously get a location inside that area, but that's, I mean, you got to pay rent, you got to do a lot of other things. There are some maybe ways around it. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I have seen businesses rent out a room in a warehouse of another business, like Suite B, something like that. I don't think I would do it. I wouldn't recommend it to my clients, but I have seen that done in the past. I think your best bet is just to set up the service area and then start doing some of these other things. We're talking about geotagging photos in that area before you upload those, building content on your website with those city areas, those municipalities, things like that, mentioning those areas. So there's definitely a way around it. I've seen businesses, 30, 40, 50 miles away from the center of the city still ranking. It just takes a little bit more work, but definitely possible. Lindsay said she's having the same issue. It is an issue, but the service areas thing is the first step to getting that correct. All right, let's go through some of these different best practices. So one thing that I'll be talking about in a couple minutes here is the name, address, phone number. That always needs to be the same, always the same name, always the same address, always the same phone number. So when we get into call tracking issues, we got to be careful, because if you list your call tracking number and not your real phone number, you can get penalized, or Google just doesn't realize it's the same business, right? So the way to fix this on Google My Business is to list your call tracking number first. And then on the info tab, there's a button to add an alternate number. And that's where you would put your real office number, whatever that is. That solves that issue. But most people in Google My Business are just going to click the button to call. That will call your call tracking number, so you can track that separately. Definitely very important to make sure you have your real number in there as the alternate. Now, I also mentioned geotagging photos. So one thing that we do with with all of our clients is, before we put photos up on their website, before we put photos up on Google My Business, or really anywhere online, we tag those photos. We use a tool called Geo-Imager, Geo-Imager Pro, and I think it's $9 a month or something. Sign up for a month, run all your photos through it, and then cancel. But what this does, I'm actually going to show you what it does. It geotags pictures to a specific location. So we use this for a couple different ways. I'm going to switch over to the browser. So can you guys see the browser now? It's got Geo-Imager in the top left. Let me know if you can see that. I want to make sure I'm on the right screen for you guys. Yes, Debbie says yes. Awesome. Okay, so this is how this tool works. You click the Start Now button. We go to drop photos here, or click to upload. I'll just click here and upload a picture real fast. Let's say that, let's find a good one here. Here's a picture. So it uploads the picture down here. You can see it. Then what it wants me to do is search for a place. So I'll type in, there's a couple different ways to do this. So the best way to get started is to put in your business name. I'll put in Sunshine Drapery, so I can choose this location. It finds that location. And now what I can do is I can write these tags. But before I do that, I can actually embed some keywords as well. So let's put drapery workroom, and I'll just put the same thing below that for alternate text. Now I'm going to write these tags, and basically what it does is it tags this picture with that information and that geocode or geotag behind the scenes. Now I can download this picture, which is going to look exactly the same, but it's going to have that extra coding in it, and then upload that picture to my website, to Google My Business, to these different platforms. So this is the best way to go about this and how we do it for all of our clients, but pretty simple. Some other things that you should know here, you can also put in just a location. You could put in St. Louis, Missouri. So for those of you that are outside the immediate service area, this might be a great way to start sending those signals to Google that you are actually, this picture was taken in downtown St. Louis, right? So then I would rewrite the tags, it'll update that information. You can also do, a certain address. I would not do a customer's address, obviously, but you can start to do some smaller cities. Let's say Kirkwood, Missouri, right? Instead of using St. Louis, which is the big metropolitan area, I'm going to use a smaller municipality and say that these 7 pictures that I uploaded, whatever, were taken in Kirkwood. Then change it up for a different place and change it up for a different city, then use your business name, that kind of stuff. So each time upload something different, make sure to put in keywords, make sure to put in a description of that picture, and Google sees this information when they see those pictures. Courtney says, will geotagging work to show listings in other cities and states aside from your normal service area? Will it help us pull into multiple service areas? Probably not, because it is just one piece of who knows how big Google's algorithm is, right? What we're really after here is just sending all the same kind of signals to Google. Now, I guess what you could do is you have a neighboring town that you also want to rank for. You could add those these service areas for those as well, or add a second Google My Business listing, but you're going to have a different address to send the postcard to, those kind of things. And then you could start geotagging that GMB listing. Gets a little shady there, because if you don't really have a location there, somebody again could flag you and say they don't really service this city. So yes, it can be done. Geotagging is one of the answers, but not the only one. It's just one piece of the puzzle. So hopefully that helps you a little bit, Courtney. All right, I think that's all I wanted to show you in the Geo-Imager tool. Pretty cool little tool. Obviously, you can clear it out, and then what we typically do is we'll upload 4 or 5 pictures, tag them to a specific area, download those, put those up, then we'll change to a different area, do it again. I don't think you can do subdivisions in here, but you can do specific roads, things like that. You can always move this around too a little bit so that it's not at your actual customer's house, right? You could set it here where it's at the beginning of the subdivision, something like that. So there are some things you can do about moving this around, moving the map around, moving the pin around a little, and then using that location. The idea here really is that we're just sending signals to Google about the fact that these pictures were taken in the same area as where we service. That's what we're after there. So, all right. That's Geo-Imager. Like I said, I think it's $9 a month, so not terribly expensive. When you do go to upload those pictures in Google My Business, it's over on the left. You click the photos, you click the plus button, and it starts to let you upload those. You can also upload a logo for your business. I recommend a square logo of some sort, and then a cover photo, which is going to be landscape, right? It's going to be wider. A good cover photo of some project that you worked on, something like that. Definitely make sure you have both of those loaded in as well. And don't forget to geotag both of those, even your logo. Make sure you geotag those before you put them up there. All right, posts. So I don't remember when they rolled this out. It's been a while now, but one thing you can do is add posts to, so kind of a social media play, I guess. But you can load up posts in your actual Google My Business listing. There's a lot of things you can do. You can share a blog. You can share some different articles that maybe you found. You can share COVID updates, add an offer, add a product. A lot of different things you can do here with this to kind of let people know about your business. And this shows up in your Google My Business profile. So when somebody searches for that business, it's very possible that the recent offers and posts and things like that will also show up in there. So definitely worth doing. Like I said, every 10 days, 2-3 times a month at a minimum. If you can do it more often, it's only going to help, right? Oana says, I've tried many times to add a logo, but it says it has to be reviewed and never really uploads. Oh, that's it. That's an interesting one. I wonder why it never really uploads. Maybe the size is too big or too small. They do have some particulars when it comes to the resolution of the logo, things like that. If you want, reach out to me afterwards, and maybe it's something I can upload and get approved for you. I'd be happy to do that. Don't forget to reply to reviews. Very important that you reply to each review as they come in. And here's an example of Kathleen 9 weeks ago and Direct replied 5 weeks ago. So it doesn't have to be, as soon as they leave the review, reply to something, but within a decent amount of time. Make sure that you are replying, and even if it's just a thank you, something like that, make sure that you're replying to those. If you do get a negative review and you go to hit the reply button, please don't. It's very likely that you're gonna say something you shouldn't have said, right? What you can do is if it's untrue, or if there's something wrong, if they called you a nincompoop or something like that, there is a button over on the right where you can click flag as inappropriate. Now, if they're legit and they really did have a 1-star service, there's not much you can do about it, if it's true. But if it's not, or if they violated anything along the lines of what Google says is okay, then you can submit that. So here are some examples: bullying, profanity, that'll get them kicked out immediately if it's off topic. Now, the one thing here is this particular review, this customer never knew about this. They never even heard of this person. So it is possible for people with Google IDs to leave reviews, 1-star reviews. So that's an ongoing problem, right? But typically that doesn't happen a lot. When you do get 1-star reviews, if they're legit and you just kind of want to get pushed down, the best way to approach that is to just get more positive reviews. And over time, they'll just kind of push that down. And of course, your number of stars, your average will go up. So KKM Newbie says, if we post a picture of a customer's installation with no identifying factors, do we need a property release or permission? That's a good question, and probably outside of my area of expertise. I would think if it's work that you did, it might be worth putting something in the agreement or the contract that we're going to take a couple pictures of the final product. We will put them up, but we're not going to mention location, things like that. It's never a good idea to put a specific location, obviously, because of privacy issues. Yeah, not 100% sure on this one. I'd probably put something in the agreement that just says we're going to take some before and afters and get their sign off on it to make sure that's the case. I've never run into that. We have a lot of clients that give us a ton of pictures of jobs that they've done. They've never really run into that, but I've never asked them if they ran that past the homeowner first. So not 100% sure about that. And it probably doesn't answer the question the way you wanted it to, but I don't know for sure. Also, just so you know, there is an Insights tab over on when you get into that area, and you can see some really cool information about where your listing is showing up, how many times it's showing up, and then what people are doing, whether they're picking up the phone, they're requesting directions, or they're visiting your website. So some pretty cool stuff in here that can kind of help you along with that. Siri says, that's exactly what I do about photos. It's part of my agreement that I will be posting photos, but without using their address. I also say why: it's to promote my business. I think most people are going to be fine with that, but probably definitely worth putting into your agreement ahead of time. All right, any questions about number one, claiming and optimize your overall listing? I want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions. Feel free to unmute yourself if you just want to ask me instead of typing it in. Wait a
Hi
minute.
there.
Yeah, go ahead, Leslie.
So I've been sitting here online on the laptop while you were explaining this because I'm trying to find the spot where you can put your address in and then you can tell it to only show your service area because I can't find that for the life of me.
Okay. Shoot me an email and we can jump on a Zoom and go through that after the fact. Will that work for you?
Yeah, I didn't know if anybody else had the same issue because I've had it set up with only a service area because of this problem. So,
Okay. It could be that they've taken that away. I haven't set one up in a while. For most of our clients, they already have it set up and they just let us use it. So instead of giving you the wrong answer, I'd rather jump on a Zoom with you and make sure we get it correct.
All right. Thank you.
Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's cruise on to number 2. So number 2 is all around citations. And citations are mentions of your business around the web. A little bit different than what we call in our industry link building, right? So link building is getting links from other websites pointing back to your website. The more links you have, the more votes you have, the higher you're potentially going to rank. Citations are very similar, but they could not include a link and Google would still count it as a link to your site. So very important that every citation or every mention of your business around the web matches up. So Google sees that, counts it as a link, and you get credit for it. So the more citations, the better. And this is directly going to affect your Google My Business profile and the 3-pack rankings. More citations, the more likely you're going to be in that conversation. Very important that something we've talked about, I mentioned, is the consistency when it comes to your name, address, phone number. Talk about that. Limited, duplicate, or incorrect business information. If you've ever had a business in one location, then you move to a different location, it's very possible that there's a lot of citations out there pointing to the old location still. So you definitely want to get those moved in. We had a client that signed up with us 2 months ago. They were in Orlando, moved to Jacksonville, and just started a brand new Google My Business listing. So then they had 2 listings with 2 different addresses, one which was incorrect. A lot of businesses were showing to the old location. So we had to merge those together, make sure everything was set to the correct one, or they were getting duplicate issues. So lots of ways for us in our industry to get these different citations. Blogs across the web, other blogs, Houzz, Yelp, some of these probably look very familiar to you. The WCAA, the IFAI, if you join any of those types of organizations, a lot of them will link back to your business as well. Any sort of vendors that you're working with, some of those vendors have business listings that are available, dealer listings, that kind of stuff. And then obviously Facebook, Google, any of those kind of sites. Foursquare is another big one. All of those definitely play into this. And like I said, there are a lot of these. This could take a long time if you're to manually do this step by step to go each one of these locations, fill it in, make sure everything matches up. It can be a ton of work. The important piece here is to make sure that everything is always consistent. Your name, your phone number, and your address are always the same. And it's all the way down to these 2 differences, 123 Main Street versus 123 Main ST, right? Those are 2 different naps to Google. Same for Boulevard, same for anything, right? If you have Suite A, make sure you're always saying Suite A, that kind of stuff. So very important that you always match these up and that they're always matched across everything. Phone number, obviously always the same. And you always want to list your real number. If you're using call tracking services, you don't want to list those numbers. This is where the Google Voice thing gets a little iffy, because if some point down the road, you decide to change your number or something like that, Google Voice, that might not match up. It might be better to use your real number and then get a call tracking number specifically for your GMB listing for your website, things like that. But definitely want to make sure that these are always matching up. Now, there are a couple services out there that will kind of do this for you in bulk. Whitespark, Moz Local, Yext, these are pretty popular. For us, we use Bright Local. We just think it's the best of all of them. And by the way, if you're not exactly sure what your current situation is, you can go to wtmarketingpros.com/report, plug your website or plug your business name in there, and it'll give you a really cool report back with, what's good, what's not good. And it goes through, a local search audit, your links, your website authority, your different business listings. So you can see in this example, it's got a different address, right? 740 Troy Road is the correct one. Edwardsville, Illinois is not the correct one. They don't match. So having those in here, here's a different phone number. For this particular one, they didn't even find a phone number. So very important to make sure all of those things match up. Obviously getting reviews, it'll tell you about that. What your competition is doing and how many reviews they have, what, if they're verified or not. Some really cool stuff you can get in this report. It's actually absolutely free. Some on-site SEO related stuff, but definitely plug yourself into that and make sure that you're getting some sort of report back so you know where to start. Let's see, KKM newbie. We use tracking numbers on our website too. The number can vary for user. So use real number on all online directories, etc. Yes. So the call tracking number on your website is probably a website pool of, typically we use 4 numbers and those numbers rotate, but it's rotated by a script that changes that number when somebody visits your website. So when Google visits your website, they see your real number, but when a human visits your website, the system sees that, flips it to a different call tracking number of some sort, and gives them the correct information, but it all just forwards to your regular line. So use a real number on online directories. Yes. Always use your real office line number. Only use call tracking on those services like Google My Business and your website. Another example could be if you're doing a radio ad and you want to know how well that radio ad is generating phone calls, you might want to get a call tracking number specifically for that, right? That's not something Google's going to stumble across and penalize you for doing. So let's see. I got to stretch my screen out here a little bit. Lindsay says, I went to wtmarketingpros.com/report. That might be why you didn't see that. Stacy says, can you please show again where you type in your location to get the free SEO report at wtmarketingpros.com? Yep. Let me just zip over there. Oops, I went too far. There we go. wtmarketingpros.com. One thing you can do is use the Start Here button. I think there's an option there for a free SEO report. Oh, it's not loading. Yeah, okay. I will fix that. I don't know why it's not loading. That's crazy. So good. At least you guys are checking it out and keeping me honest. I'm not sure why it's not loading, but I'll figure that out and get that set up today and make sure everybody gets an email to that. Stacy said, thanks. Yeah, I don't know why it's not loading. That's crazy. But I'll get it fixed. I'll get it fixed. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. All right. Best practices when it comes to citations. One thing you can do is manually claim and optimize your business listing on Google. Definitely a good first step. You don't want to just let some automation do that. You want to make sure that's 100% correct. That's google.com/business. And then use a tool like Yext, some of these submission tools. Yext, we use Bright Local, and make sure that you're getting those citations. There's also something called data aggregators, which is these big companies that aggregate all kinds of information. Bright Local does submit to them as well. And then there's a tool called Whitespark that can find additional citations for you. Gets a little into the weeds when you get to that point, but definitely want to use a tool like Bright Local to get all of the main ones submitted and the same across the board for sure. Some other ideas of places to get local citations, different clubs, Chamber of Commerce, obviously, if you're in a BNI group, things like that. Now, these are only good if they have a website, right? And they're listing all their members, they're listing the people that are in the group, that kind of stuff. You could also just go to Google and type in, Memphis Business Directory, and you'll probably find a decent amount of business directories that are in your particular area in your city. Submit your listing to those as well. Sponsor events or teams or charities. A lot of times these different things will list who their sponsors are, right? And those are links back to your site. Even if they don't link to you, make sure you got your business name and address in there. A lot of times they'll put that on there for you. So just some different ideas. I also put together a blog on 75 different ways to get citations. And you can see that at wtmarketingpros.com/citations. Now, I checked this link this morning, so I know it's working. So check that out. But that's a great place to get some ideas on ways to get started. All right, any questions about step 2, citations with name, address, phone number consistent? Let's see if there's anything on the chat. Don't see anything new over there. Everybody okay? Anybody want to unmute and ask anything? All right, let's press on to number 3. We're finishing up here. So number 3 is all around getting reviews. You need to get a lot of reviews, and they need to be real, right? You can go and ask, your mom and your brother and your sister and your uncle to leave reviews. That's okay, but not 100% legit. And when it comes down to it, reviews are definitely going to help you with something called social proof. And social proof is this kind of weird phenomenon where let's use Facebook as an example. If there are no comments, people are less likely to leave a comment. But if there are 10 comments, they're more likely to leave a comment, right? The same thing comes into play for reviews. Sunshine, 32 reviews. Charlotte has 2 reviews with a 3.0 star average, and the Curtain Exchange has no reviews. So it's very likely that just because of the scenario, 95% of the people are going to choose Sunshine just because of that, right? So very important to use this social proof to your advantage and get those reviews. So one way that you can get reviews is look at your recent list of customers and just start reaching out to them. Hey, we hope you really like your draperies. We hope you really like your awning. Please consider coming back to our website, leaving us a review, or go to our Facebook profile, or go to our Google profile, leave us a review, something like that. A little manual process to do. Now for our clients, they send us a list like this typically on Fridays and say, here's the installs we did this week. And then we check them in on a system. I'll show you in a couple minutes here. But definitely consider using some sort of tool. Again, I'll show you one of those examples in a minute. Something that can leave a request, send a request, whether that's by text or email, something that just asks them to leave a review. Obviously, the best time to get a review is while you're standing in the living room, right? Or standing on the back porch, and the customer is ecstatic about it. Great time to ask for a review. Not always the most convenient, or if you have installers that maybe are technically challenged a little bit, that maybe you can't get that to happen, right? It is the best time to do so. One way that we found it's really cool is everybody loves talking about their phone, right? If you're standing there in the living room, they're happy with the new cornice that they got, ask them, hey, I see you got a phone there. Is that an Android or an iPhone? And people just love to start talking about, oh, I got the latest blah, 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 right? Oh, wow. If I send you a text message real quick, would you mind leaving us a review about the cornice we just put up, or the awning we just put up? Oh yeah, I'd love to do that. And do it while you're right there, right? Best case scenario, you're probably going to get a 5-star review. It's probably going to be done, checked off your list. Not always the case, but that works well. Another great way to do it is get a business card printed that has a QR code that goes straight to your GMB profile. So let me show you something. I'm going to switch over here and go to google.com/business, manage now. I'm going to jump into one of these accounts. Obviously, you won't see a big list of accounts. You'll probably just land on a page like this. But one thing you can do when you're on this, this home page here is look for this little person with the blue. And there's a button here for share review form. If you click on that, it gives you a link to your review form. If you copy that link, I'm going to copy that and open it in a new tab, and I'll show you what the customer sees. So if you shared that link with somebody, they will see this, and this works on their phone too. It starts to load the map, and then boom, 5 stars comes up, right? So if you shared this in somebody's living room, you know, with the social pressure, right, while you're standing right there, they're very likely to click the 5 stars. But you find that by looking for this little blue person here and then clicking share review form. That instead of just linking to your Google My Business profile, it links to the profile, but then overlays with that 5-star thing, which is super cool. So that's a cool little tip for you that'll help you. So make a QR code that goes straight to that link. Then when you're leaving and you're done, just give that to them. Say, hey, shoot this, you know, take a picture of this on your phone. It'll pop up the screen, and they can leave a review right there. So very easy. Even if your installers don't have, you know, the technical abilities, they can certainly hand a business card and ask somebody to take a picture of it. So obviously, train your installers to plant a seed, deliver world-class experience. I think that goes without saying. You could make a call after the service, walk them through how to leave a review for you. Again, takes a little bit more manual action, but definitely want to make sure that you're building these reviews and recognition into your company culture. If you have multiple salespeople, you know, you could do some gamification, right, where the person that gets the most reviews that month gets a $25 Applebee's card or something like that, right? So there are a lot of different ways to make sure that you're building that into your culture. Now, for our clients, we use a tool called Lead Boomerang, and what they can do is they can actually just click on this green button that says check in client, and they can check in a client right inside the system. It immediately sends them both a text message and an email. This is an example. Hi, Bill. Thank you for choosing Sunshine Drapery. I'd like to personally share your experience. If you believe we did a 5-star performance, leave us a review using the link below. If we fell short, call me personally at the office along with the phone number, right? One thing we did prior to saying this, if you believe we did a 5-star performance, then leave us a review. We just asked for the review, and we were getting 4-star reviews, which is great, fine, but we want 5 stars, right? So we kind of tweaked the text a little bit to say, if you believe we did a 5-star performance, we're not suggesting they leave 5 stars, but we're saying, if you believe we did that, leave us a review. If we didn't, give us a call so we can fix whatever it is, right? So this is a really cool little way to kind of go about making sure you're getting more of those 5-star reviews. Let's look, Acadia Shutters. We started using that review link a couple months ago, and Google started filtering reviews coming from that link. We stopped and haven't had an issue since. Thoughts? It's quite honestly the first I've heard of that. All of our clients use that link and don't really have any trouble. All of their reviews show up. That's interesting. I'm wondering why that would happen, why they would filter those out. Yeah, I'm not really sure on that one. I haven't seen that happen. All of our clients use just that exact same link I showed you. Now, there are some other ways to go about this. One thing you could do, and I'll show you Sunshine again. We built a page called Review Us. So if you're only sending them the Google link to that Google profile, that's fine, but people have to have a Google ID. A lot of the older demographics, sometimes they'll say, I don't have a Google account, so then they just won't leave you a review, right? One thing that we did, we don't use this as much as we used to, but we would send people to a page like this, Review Us, which gives them a couple different options. Oh, I'm really comfortable using Facebook. Maybe I don't have a Google ID or I don't know what it is. I'm really comfortable using Facebook. I can click here and leave a review for the company on that system. So that's one way to maybe go about getting reviews. The other thing nice about that is it makes the reviews look more natural, right? You're not getting every single review just on Google, but you're not getting any reviews on Houzz or Facebook or Yelp or Yahoo Local, any of these other ones. This is another way to kind of go about it. Same thing, just share this link instead of that particular Google link that I showed earlier. it may end up working a little bit better for you. So that's just another option. This is again, Lead Boomerang is the name of this tool. All of our clients have access to this and can use this system. And then what we do is we build out a series of questions or a series of review requests. So they get an email. How did we do? Please leave us a review. They also get a text message. How did we do? We hope you really enjoyed your experience. If they don't fill it out within, I don't remember, this is after 2 days, they get a second reminder email. And by the way, if they engage with this sequence at any point, it pulls them out of that sequence. So they're not getting that second request for a review when they've already left a review. That's the last thing you want to happen, right? But this system is called Lead Boomerang. It is one of probably 20 things that it does, but definitely a really cool system. You can learn more about that at mylb.net. And there is a 30-day free trial there as well. Also, on-page optimization. I want to make sure I mention this. It is very important that your website is optimized for your local area as well. I did training on this last month called Local and On-Page SEO. Make sure that you go back to our training portal and watch that training so that you can make sure your website is optimized as well, because that matches up to what you're doing on Google My Business, sending the same signals in the same area. Pictures are geotagged, all that kind of stuff. So the proven the proven formula to get into the 3-pack is obviously claim your listing, get citations, get reviews, and then do some on-page SEO to make sure that your website is sending those same signals back to Google as well. One last thing I wanted to mention, Bing does have a system like this called Bing Places. So make sure that you're checking that out. Just do what everybody else does, right? Go to Google and type in Bing Places and it'll send you to that link. But make sure that you do the exact same thing on Bing Places. The really cool thing about that is they fully admit that Google is the 500-pound gorilla, and you can actually import your Google My Business listing straight into Bing Places so you don't have to rebuild it from scratch. But definitely make sure that you're doing that. Nice thing about Bing is, again, the older demographic, a lot of them use Bing and not Google, or they use Microsoft Edge and they don't use Google Chrome, right? Bing is the default search engine in that case. They don't want to change it to something else. So make sure that you're listed on the Microsoft properties as well. All right, as I mentioned, these are all just different pieces of the digital dominance method. There are a lot of steps to getting this done, but getting this one done is really going to help your business get more eyeballs, get more leads. So what kind of questions do you have of anything that I've covered today? And then I want to make sure that I get you guys a couple freebies. You can unmute if you'd like and just ask me the question. You can obviously put it in the chat as well. I want to make sure everybody has all of the questions answered that they were thinking about. I'm going to grab some coffee. Nobody? I have done such a great job that I've answered everything you could possibly wonder about related to GMB. That's great. Oh, not true. Mary says, what does it cost for you to do all of this for us? So Mary, we can have that conversation offline. It's different depending on where you're at, what kind of competition you have, things of that sort. And I'd be happy to kind of talk to you about that. We do offer exclusive agreements by city or by area, so no other agency can hire you. So we'd have to see if there's somebody in your area that we're already working with. So there are a couple different factors, but reach out to me, Mary, and let's continue that conversation and see what is potentially out there for you. Sari says, thank you. You're very welcome. I really do appreciate everybody jumping on today. So, okay, let's go through some free stuff. The book, I did mention the book. If you don't have a copy of my book, I've got a case of them sitting here just waiting to be showing up at your house. So if you want one, just go to wtmarketingpros.com/book, fill out the little form there with your mailing address, and I will get one of these out to you absolutely free. I've already got them prepackaged with the priority mail. All you gotta do is stick your name and address on there. So please make sure you get that. And it's a good book. I mean, I went into a lot of detail on a lot of the steps, including Google My Business. It is 255 pages. So tons of information in there. Make sure you grab that if you haven't already. Keywords, if you want to know what keywords are the most popular keywords in your industry, you can get these free. You don't have to put your email address or anything like that in there. Just go to wtmarketingpros.com/keywords. I've got them out there for window treatments, for awning companies, and I also put them out there for signage. Seems like a lot of signage companies sometimes do the awnings and things like that as well. So go grab those absolutely free. And of course, Lead Boomerang, if you're interested in that, go check that out. mylb.net is where you can learn more about that system. It's pretty in-depth, pretty cool system. We've got a couple clients on the call today, and they're all using that system as well. Lastly, if you would like a strategy session with me, such as Mary, please reach out. wtmarketingpros.com/strategy is the best way to get on my calendar. I'd love to have a conversation with you just to learn about what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and where you're hoping to go in the next 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, and see if there is a plan that works together for us as well. So Oana said, Will, when you say SEO, what is the action that will have the most impact? Is it blog posts or something else? First of all, watch my training from last month. I think you might have been on there. I think the one thing that would be the best first step from an online search engine optimization standpoint is making sure that the structure of the site is built correctly. So you have title tags, you have heading tags, H1 tags, and your meta descriptions are set up. Those are huge because those are going to send the signals for those particular pages back to Google about what your site is about. When we take on a new client, we build a brand new website for that client. But during that first period, that's one of the first things we do. We'll go in and we'll optimize all of their page titles, descriptions, heading tags, things like that, and get those set up correctly so that Google starts to warm up to the possibility of potential new content coming. Long-term strategy is definitely content and citation/link building. Getting that additional content. So let's say you find a keyword that you're ranking on page 3 of Google, and you really want to get that to a page 1, build some content around that and get that content ranking and bolstering up whatever that main service area or that service page is. Hopefully that answers your question. Lindsay said, do you offer specific troubleshooting if our insights have significantly dropped and continue to do so? Lindsay, I'd be happy to jump on a call and pull up one of my SEO tools, plug your website in and see if there's some holes that we can identify. Be happy to do that with you. Sherry says, thank you for the book and the webinar. Very happy to do so. Ken, great work, thanks. And Oana says, thanks as well. So yeah, make sure that you're grabbing this link, get on my calendar. I'd be happy to chat with you more. Lindsay says, thanks, already scheduled. Jorge says, thank you very much. We're ready to start next month. Yeah, excited to have you guys on board. Patricia says, thank you. Debbie says, thank you for the book too. Very, very happy to have you guys on board today. So thank you. Hope you got some good tips out of this, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you all. Thanks, Courtney. Thanks, Mary.